Conceived in the early 19th century by a Scottish scientist studying light. Peer inside and witness dazzling geometric images, produced as mirrors multiply objects. Brought to us almost 100 years before another Scot invented the other tube showing dazzling moving images, called TV. The images are spectacular and fleeting, each one lasting just a second before the next appears. Many years after its invention, the kaleidoscope is still an eye-opener. To make a kaleidoscope, this craftsman starts with a mirror sheet that has an adhesive backing. He scores it to create long and narrow rectangles and gently breaks it along those score lines. This mirror's reflective coating is on the front instead of the underside. A mirror like this produces sharper reflections than a regular household mirror. He slices the adhesive backing to separate the mirrored rectangles. He snaps off the scored ends, creating perfectly linear edges. Next, he peels backing from a strip of blackout felt paper and wraps it around a glass rectangle. This felt-wrapped glass will be the third wall of a two-mirror system, one with a triangular configuration. He removes the adhesive film from the mirrors, then builds the triangle with the mirror's reflective surfaces facing inward, towards the felt-covered rectangle. This arrangement will reflect objects to create a circular image known as a mandala. He aims the mirror system at a light box with a two-line drawing in it. One line is curved and the other is straight. Peering into it, he adjusts the alignment of the mirrors until the lines morph into a 5-point star. This means the corners of the mirror triangle are precisely 36 degrees, and it's multiplying images correctly. He hot glues the mirrors and applies metal tape to the top seam to complete the kaleidoscope mirror system. In the art department, they assemble decorative objects against a black background in an acrylic cell. With every placement, she checks the effect through the triangular mirror system. She glues dichroic glass onto the backdrop. It's a kind of glass that's been treated and appears to have different hues. Other objects include jewellery parts, coloured wire, buttons, and even paper clips. She doesn't follow a specific design, letting her creativity run free. While she glues some down, she leaves others loose to simply tumble around inside. A sprinkle of tiny beads completes the grouping. As the mirror system multiplies these objects, they will create the mandalas. These are photographs of actual mandalas, and they'll be used to decorate the outside of the kaleidoscope. An acrylic adhesive is added to the rim of the cell. Then a clear lid is pressed onto it. The lid fuses to the cell body, but it's not yet completely sealed. There's a tiny hole in the side of the cell, through which he now dispenses heavy mineral oil. Submerged in oil, the objects will float and move through the cell for greater effect. He plugs the hole with an acrylic adhesive and screw. Now it's time to assemble the kaleidoscope. He slides the mirror system into a heavy cardboard tube and cushions the mirror system with foam, and this stabilizes it. He then installs a metal eyepiece and a glass lens on one end of the kaleidoscope tube. Then slides the object cell into a protective metal cage that rotates. A transparent glass disc goes over the cell, and he applies adhesive to the cage, then inserts the assembly into the other end of the tube. This kaleidoscope is now ready for a viewing. Light passes through the object cell, illuminating the trinkets. Reflections bounce off the mirrors to create one spectacular illusion after another. 2 centuries after its invention, it may not be YouTube, but it is your tube, and it can give you a right old eyeful. Conceived in the early 19th century by a Scottish scientist studying light. Peer inside and witness dazzling geometric images, produced as mirrors multiply objects. Brought to us almost 100 years before another Scot invented the other tube showing dazzling moving images, called TV. The images are spectacular and fleeting, each one lasting just a second before the next appears. Many years after its invention,